like talking about social media, I think sometimes the temptation can be to follow accounts that are trending and then just try to make your social media look like that.
Yeah.
Try to keep up with how many times they post, try to make your
100%.
pictures. Your social media is a mirror of your house. So people can say, they can feel what it's going to feel like to be there.
Yes.
So it's okay to genuinely be you. That is what your social media is supposed to be.
Yeah. 10 years ago, a study done by the Pew Research Institute showed that nearly half of the people, when looking for a new church, use the internet in their search. I can only imagine what that number is today. But just a few years ago, the Unstuck group did a study and showed that only about 20% of churches were satisfied with their digital ministry strategy. Most of us use our online presence at our churches as a window, something that some people can come and look from afar and see what's going on, and hopefully that will spark inspiration to come inside. But really, our online presence and our events out in the community should be a door with a front porch that people can come, spend some time, get to know someone on the inside, and be welcomed in with open arms. And that can actually be where their journey of faith starts, not just when they show up on Sundays. Welcome to the Ignite Your Church podcast, where we give you clarity for every step of the discipleship journey that's at your church. My name is Nina Hampton. I am the communication strategist here at Texton Church, as well as being in ministry for many years. Me and my husband have served in various churches around the KC area and are locally at a church plant here in Kansas City. And I'm here with my co-host, Allie. How you doing?
So good. Good to be here. I'm Allie Hofmeyer. I'm the managing director at First Impressions, where we host an online community and have conferences teaching churches how to create spaces guests want to come back to. And I serve on the hospitality team at my local church in the Kansas City metro area. And I'm pumped to get to talk about this stuff with you today, Nina.
So am I. Well, in today's episode, we are going to be kind of diving into one of the most overwhelming parts, I think, of the discipleship journey. And that's actually before anyone's really a disciple. And that's the invite and the gather stages. So here we kind of dive into the Ignite framework. And it's a 6-stage framework to give you a lens for where people are at in the discipleship journey at your church. And it really has helped to contextualize kind of where everyone is at for the church leaders who have dove into it. And so today's conversation is around those two top parts of the funnel, and that's invite and gather. And there's such an opportunity, I think, that exists with people at this stage, because it's kind of the whole point. It's Matthew 28:19, right? To go into all the world and make disciples. This is where churches do that. And I
think what's hard sometimes for churches is that just doesn't look like it used to. Right?
That's so true.
It's not inviting your neighbors to the church potluck that's just up the street. Like our access to churches is so much greater. People's just habits and routines of being at church are very different. And now going into all the world includes the internet. Like that is the world that we live in. And so I think contextualizing that is an important conversation, because I think a lot of us, there's a temptation to cling to how it used to be and then be angry maybe at our people that they're not inviting enough, or be angry at those who get invited and don't want to show up. But like, how can we meet people in the spaces that they're at?
So something that you just said that I feel like really, it's rough, because what you said about, inviting people to the church potluck up the street, that's so true. Most people, I'll say most, don't necessarily go to church in their neighborhood.
Right.
I know that for me, it is for me, my husband, and my family, it is a 25-ish minute drive to our church. And I can't tell you how many churches, including one that is the name of our neighborhood, we pass on the way to our church.
And you're not an anomaly.
I'm not. I think I'm the norm. I think I'm the norm. And that's so true. And so I think just in today's culture, in 2026, we really have to be sober to the fact that finding one community is no longer about proximity.
Right.
I do think that there is a pivot happening in that, though. I think that people are more, I think we as a society are craving that again.
Yeah, I agree.
And there are things like I think the pendulum is starting to swing in the other way. I do. But I think we're even still, if that is the case, we are in the beginning stages of that. And so need to be aware of that, but also aware of the way that the majority of people are going to try and find a church, which doesn't really differ that much from how like we find a restaurant.
Exactly. How we find anything.
Yeah.
You wouldn't show up anywhere without Googling it first.
Literally, or going on their website.
Yeah.
Or seeking out their Instagram.
Yep.
I know for me, that is my social media bad habit of choice. Like I am a recovering doom scroller.
Doom scroll the life right out of it.
Like, but seriously, and that's kind of the first thing because it gives you a different picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the website is everything. The website is everything that you want to tell me. Your social media is everything that you want to show me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and so like if I need the information about a place, okay, I need to know the menu. I need to know, you know what I mean? Like I need to know the menu. I need to know where it's located. I need to know those pieces. Okay, cool. What kind of time are me and my friends going to have if we go to this restaurant?
Right.
Like if being someone who has a cackle, can I cackle freely in this restaurant?
Right.
Or am I going to get looks?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to their social media to see that.
Yeah. That's good.
And so I think that's just something like in the same way that same kind of tension exists when people are looking for churches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. It's in this neighborhood. It's at this place. These are your sacraments or your ordinances. These are your, you know what I mean, your staff. Okay, cool. What do I wear?
Yeah, right.
How do people talk to each other?
Yeah.
You know, and I do think that there are some churches who are killing it at this, like giving a really good Sunday morning feel of like, okay, this is what it feels like to be in this house. You know, but I think there's a huge learning curve. One, I think all of us can learn from one another because, again, it's not a one size fits all. It's contextualized for your context, your denominational context, your demographic, your location, your region.
Which is an important point to like sit on for a second because when like talking about social media, I think sometimes the temptation can be to follow accounts that are trending and then just try to make your social media look like that.
Yeah.
Try to keep up with how many times they post, try 100%. To make your pictures. Your social media is a mirror of your house. So people can say, they can feel what it's going to feel like to be there.
Yes.
So it's okay to genuinely be you. That is what your social media is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then with the website, like your point about information is so key because I can't tell you how many church websites you have to like click multiple times to just find out what time service is and where it's at.
Yeah. And I think even with that, like, and I want to be very clear, and I'm going to be my whole self. There is no shade here in these conversations.
Right.
Like, there's no shade. Like
we only know these mistakes because we
have made them. Okay?
And we make them.
Because we made and make them.
Yeah.
And that's 100%. And there's a like a conviction that both of us carry for both of our own contexts of like, this stuff is hard. And it's really, you know, I want to just speak to for a second. The reason why we started this podcast is like ministry is it is a beautiful mystery. Like there are, especially I feel like, I don't know, I think in my 30s, I'm zooming out and kind of seeing like the fuller picture of like the body of Christ across the world. And the context of being in ministry is in America, there is so much administration to get bogged down by.
Yep.
To check off all the tasks, to make sure that you're doing all the things in PCO and that you're scheduling your people and that, you know what I mean? Like you're responding to the form requests and that you have the website updates and that the calendar's up to date. And it's so easy to get bogged down with that stuff and miss the ministry. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. Which are souls, which are people. And don't get me wrong, everything that you're doing, all of that administration serves them.
Absolutely.
It absolutely serves them.
Yeah. But don't lose them in it.
It's very easy to lose them in it.
Yeah.
It's very easy. And so like part of the heart of starting this podcast was that we wanted to just make space to have these conversations and to just kind of like pop the bubble or start to eat the elephant, whatever analogy you need, like, this is hard. Yeah. It's hard to navigate. It's difficult. And we see that. And we're trying to navigate it too.
Yep.
And thankfully we are a part of a team that wants to have these conversations to help church leaders navigate it. Yeah. And so that's what this space is for. So I want to break down, as we talk about these stages, that's what the next few episodes are going to be for all of our listeners. I want to talk about, kind of break down how we talk about these stages in the Ignite framework. And each stage has 3 perspectives. What the people at this stage are doing, right? So what the people in the invite stage, like who are they? Who are we talking
Mhm.
about? What it feels like to maybe be missing it
Yeah.
at this stage. What like I'm not crushing it here.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? What might that look like if I'm not doing a great job? And what are we as the church doing to engage people at this stage? Because regardless of your context, regardless of your denomination, all of that, all the churches kind of do the same things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're all engaging people in the same ways. Um, so to kind of kick us off, when it comes to the invite stage, who we're talking about the people who are not in your church yet.
Yep.
Not in your church yet. They are not. They are people outside of your church looking in and considering. The college student that saw your promoted reel on Instagram, the mom who drove past your church on the way to drop her kids off at the babysitters and saw your VBS banner outside. The lady who is scrolling on your website and considering trying out your church, but she's not quite sure, and
Yeah.
this is her third or fifth attempt on your website to kind of find information and just consider. That's who we're talking about, because really, and that kind of sums up the three things that like every church does to engage people at the stage. All of us have some sort of social presence, right? Social media to some extent, even if all you have is a Facebook group.
Yeah.
We all have some sort of social media presence. We all probably have a website, and we all are doing some sort of event to engage our community.
Yeah.
What that is, what it looks like, the purpose of it, the vision of it, all the kind of things, like niching it down, there's a million variations.
Right.
But everyone does something like that. So I want to talk about what it might look like to miss it. If you have a website that doesn't get any traffic, no one can find it. It doesn't state what you're doing, who you are, and that leads to even fewer people discovering your church. That might be what it feels like to miss this. Another way is that if you have an outreach event that draws no new faces because no one was actually intentionally invited, or you have a whole neighborhood or a city or a town that has no idea that your church is there or what it does to serve its community. Yeah. And all of that might sound like that's not a thing. Like those sound like pretty wide sweeping misses. And I agree, but I want to share a personal story from my own history of ministry. Allie already knows this story. So I was a part of a young adult ministry in my early 20s. I am not in my early 20s. I was a part of a young adult ministry, and we had sub-teams, and the sub-team that I was on was the outreach team. And it was called Reaching the Lost. It was the Reaching the Lost team. And we had just had done some events that were, successful. We had some cool ideas, and the Lord breathed on that and, was grateful for that. But we had a high school that we were probably like 2 miles away from. And we went up to the school, and I don't even think we went up to the school. I think this was only after the fact. We were close to a school. We were close to a high school, and we had gotten the idea. We had caught wind from a parent. That's what it was. Caught wind from a parent that went to our school that said nobody goes to prom. And we asked her, like, why doesn't anybody go to prom? That's kind of wild. Like, why isn't that happening? And she was like, well, none of the girls can afford dresses, and so it just kind of leads to like this like lack of attendance because only so many people can afford to go because of the kind of event that it is. Yada yada yada. And so we're like, oh, that's like, I don't like hearing that. And so we got the idea to have a prom just drive. And it was awesome. It was a great idea. We had actually partnered with another church in the area who did one very successfully. They were like 30 minutes away from where we were. So like, it just wasn't feasible for them to do it wasn't feasible for them to come and do it with us because of how far they were away. And none of the kids at the high school were able to get to them, and we weren't able to provide transportation. So we're like, oh, we'll just have one. And so we did that. We set up our fellowship hall, flipped it around, tried to make it a little boutique, had all of these different like little like clothing, like dressing rooms. Like we had little like tea tables and all this stuff. It was such a cute event. It was called the Freebie. It was adorable. Me and my friend who did it, we were super proud of it. Really grateful, whatever. Push came to shove. We got to the day, and not a single girl walked through our doors. Not a single one.
Everyone can like feel that.
I had a pit in the bottom of my stomach.
Yeah.
Not a single one. And it did not make sense to me. And when I look at it in hindsight, and we had kind of dug into it, later on after the event. But when I look at it in hindsight, we had put in an announcement in our church, like church announcements. I think we had like a flyer in a local grocery store that no one looks at.
Yeah.
I think we had done like one other thing. I think we had like canvassed like the first 2 streets of the neighborhood that we were in, like putting like flyers in people's like fences and stuff like that. But it was mostly elderly people that lived in those homes.
Yeah.
And it was just a very tone deaf outreach event.
And can I get really real with a question?
Please.
Was the planning and executing of all the details of the event where all the time and energy was spent?
Yeah. Yes.
I think that's imagine if the time and energy was going to the inviting and just making people feel like there's space for you and releasing some of the pressure of it having to look some sort of way or feel, I'm not saying we drop excellence.
No.
But you are not alone in being so head down in the details of an event that you're like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't really think about.
The amount of hours that we spent creating the flyer that no one saw. In hindsight, it's kind of shameful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And granted, I will say, like, we learned from that event. So if I can redeem the story and tell you what the Lord actually did through it, we learned our lesson. And in the years following, we actually set up that same prom just drive in the library of the high school. And we did it for 3 more years. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like all of our and it was actually something so much so that like it grew beyond our young adult ministry, and then the church just got involved.
Yeah.
Because we're at a larger church, and anybody who's been at a larger church, how it goes. Sometimes it feels like silos, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a bunch of mini churches. And so it grew beyond that. And then on top of that, it opened the door for like the other ministries in the church to also support the church, to support the high school, so much so that like that high school put a banner in their gym that our church was the #1 supporter of the high school.
So cool.
It was awesome. And so the Lord used it, he redeemed it. And I'm grateful for that story. But at the same time, there is a lesson that I learned.
Yeah.
In what the priority actually was.
Yeah.
In that. And I think it's a very easy to, like, I'm saying that because I've made the mistakes myself.
Yeah.
Like, and there were people, I guarantee you, people in our community, people in the area who that outreach could have really impacted some families that year.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what it would have been if we would have shifted our focus to actually serve them in ways that were relevant to them and get the information to them in ways that would have been accessible for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
I can share one about website. So
yeah, because that's my area. I have no experience.
I did communications when I was on staff at my church. And so one of the first things I did was like Google our church, right? And make sure that we're popping up. Well, we weren't popping up. So we're off to a good start. So I was like, okay, I need to become the SEO expert. Yeah. And this was years ago, which I mean, now we're not even going to get into SEO, AEO, all of the craziness. But what would have been a great start, some data that I learned is that like 80 to 90% of people are taking in Christian content online. And that's not 80% of professing Christians.
That's people.
That is just people.
Humans.
Taking in Christian content online.
That's crazy.
So we, like most churches, have content that we're producing every single week on a Sunday.
Right.
That I can clip in the matter of minutes.
Yep.
And have on my website.
Yep.
So that way when people are Googling things like, is God real? Mm-hmm. Does anything happen when I pray? Who is Jesus?
Yep.
Stuff like that starts popping up, right? So, but there were months I spent trying to figure out SEO, trying to optimize, trying to be Google's favorite listing. And there were really a handful of like very simple things that I could have done to just meet some of the felt needs of the people in my community.
Yeah.
And then just making that homepage super clear to a guest.
Yes.
We want you to come. Here's how you get here.
Yes.
Here's the time and location.
Yes.
Like sometimes I think we want to be the expert and we want it to be so, so good, which is coming from a good place.
Yeah.
But often it's doing some very simple things.
Yes.
To just bring clarity.
Yes.
And remove some barriers.
Yes. And I think that that's the part of it that we actually forget about. We don't have the lens of the guest.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not, I really want this flyer to look good.
Yeah.
Because I want this flyer to look good. So when somebody asks me, who designed the flyer? Oh yeah, we worked really hard and we designed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because that's, I think that there's always like that church. Can we just call this out for a second? Because I'm about to say some spicy stuff. And I just want, let's be honest. There is like that church competition game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Yeah.
But like, you see the promo of like the church down the street. They have a conference coming up, and their promo is just dope.
It's so good. Or you got to get your Easter sign out first because that other churches always look so good.
And or you can say that you did it first, right? Like, because there's always like a theme. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that if it's the year of like the glowing cross, you know what I mean? Easter invite, right? Because there's trends in graphic design. It is what it is. There's also companies you can buy stuff from and edit it, and everybody's doing the same thing. and so because of that, like there's this competition that exists, and so you don't realize it, but you're subconsciously playing that rat race.
Yeah.
And you're not actually trying to serve your people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a pastor that was a leader of a really prominent and it kind of like not inspirational church, but like a very influential church some years ago. And people have asked him, like, how did you handle the weight of that? Like, and being this influential church, he's like, I don't think we weren't trying to be that. We were just trying to serve our people. And because of our context, we were that. Therefore, people look to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, I think that's kind of, that's a good posture.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to serve my people in my context. And this happens to be that. If it's influential to other people, then so be it.
Right.
Praise God that he used it. But it's not necessarily what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if this is healthy in a church, what does it look like? You have a website that is a warm front door, which I just want to pause there for a second. Social media and websites specifically, like switching from a window to a door, I think is a very hard pivot to do.
Yeah.
And what do we mean when we're talking about that? It is not a place that should exist just to observe. It should be for engagement.
A door only functions if someone opens it.
Well,
that's good. I'll put that on a shirt.
I mean, actually though, like, but seriously, it should be a place where people can come and have a conversation, where they can come and like sit a while.
Yes.
And I think what's another thing, and it's not one of those ways that we're trying to be like the world, but necessarily like, but we're trying to serve our people.
Yeah.
There are plenty of places to sit online.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There are places to gather online. And so I'm not saying that everybody should open an online campus. That's not what I'm saying. But at least to have a way to have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
A way to connect with people.
Truly. And even if that starts with something as simple as just a contact us page with a text box that sends an email to somebody.
Yep.
Cool. Have a way for somebody to start a conversation and function and have that function in such a way that it's inviting them to do it. Because sometimes it can feel like, I mean, if you have questions, I guess you can email us.
Right.
And it feels like that.
I did, like, just to not like kill the analogy, but if you left your front door open at your house when you're gone, that's going to make someone feel really creeped out. Like that they can just walk into your house and no one's there.
Yeah.
So if you have no intention of connecting with anyone on your website, don't act like you do.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
But if you're going to create those opportunities for connection, then do a great job.
Yes.
Have some systems in place so that you get reminders, so that there's some automation in place so you can send an email.
And the first thing that might, we're, a little premature on the CTAs, but like the first thing to maybe assess is like your bandwidth.
Yeah.
You
or
know
who
what I mean?
can. Maybe it doesn't have to be you.
Girl, well.
There are people in your church who
equip the saints to do the work of the ministry.
Come on. So.
Yeah. So a website that is a front door, really simple. There are a ton of website, templates you can look at online. We won't get too much into that. But again, social media as a door, not just a window. You tell real stories and that you have clear next steps. It's not just event flyers.
Yeah.
And then events with a path to the other side. Oh my gosh. I think I have been to so many outreach events that it's like, oh yeah, it's just cool. It's great. Like, this is a fun event, but there's no clear way for the people who came, one, to even identify who they could talk to get to be a part of anything. And so having outreach events with the community in mind and a way for them to be a part. One of the things that we learned is that every girl, because again, we were working with students, and so, a little bit different rules that we were abiding by, but we, each one of them got like a gift bag on their way out. Cause it wasn't just dresses, we had shoes, we had jewelry and everything like that, and after doing it for a few years, we had like a little gift bag that just like, because we had worked with, like, there was a hairstylist at our church that like gave free appointments to the girls to get their hair done on the day of. I know, it's making me emotional to think about it. It was really cool to be a part of, but like, so we had stuff to give them like that and told them about that, but also put direct information to the church in there. Again, we're working with students, so the context was a little different. But information for the students, I'm pretty sure we put something in there for their parent. I can't remember because it was some years ago. But we put, information for their parents and things like that to actually invite them. Hey, we're who did this. We would love to serve you in greater ways and for you to be a part of us.
It's good.
And so doing all of this well and really, kind of getting good at this stage is the whole purpose of it really is to hopefully help people more easily come through your doors on a Sunday morning. That's the purpose. I think that it's a very easy, again, to hear this from like that communication side, or even just like the American hustle culture side, like church hustle culture of like, you should be doing this, and this is how to optimize and grow your church. We want to serve people. We want to serve people. We want to love people. We want to show them the love of Jesus. And in order to do that,
read my verse.
And in order to do that, you know what I mean? Like, we want to make it as least resistance as possible. Like,
I got to share this with you guys. This is in Isaiah 40. A voice of one calling, in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be raised up, every mountain and hill made low. The rough ground shall become level, the rugged places a plain. And the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all people will see it together. And when I think about hospitality and invitation and just making it easier for people to walk into a church, like, that's the vision that I get of just like making the ground easy to walk on so people get to go be in God's glory, that we all get to see it together. I mean, I think it's easy to like say, well, you're trying too hard, or get caught up in it and be trying too hard. But when we remember that all these efforts are just because we're trying to prompt connection between people and their maker, then it just becomes so clarifying. Because you're just trying to remove barriers.
There is a way. So the lead pastor at our church, my husband is on staff at Vine Hill Church. I am also on the team as well. And everything leads back to the vision. And so if somebody comes up with an idea, he got this from an apprenticeship that he did some years ago, but somebody might come up with an idea and it's a really dope idea. And his question is, that's great. Does it help people far from God come to know and follow Jesus? That's our vision statement. It doesn't do that? Okay, then we're not doing it. And so just to kind of dive into the gather stage specifically, talking about this one, I feel like it's hard to talk about what's broken, because I think there's a lot of churches who might feel like they're doing it well. But again, because we're talking about who we're talking about, it's really easy to not. So when it's broken, what it might look like. It's a church that welcomes its members and is warm to its members, but cold to strangers. And they welcome people who are already a part of their communities, not anybody new. Another thing that it might look or feel like is a culture that is unprepared for guests. You don't have anything for them. You don't know how to engage them or talk to them. You don't even have clear ways of telling them how or where to go. And they simply don't come back because of it. Um, you have no way to collect their information, which means that you did not want to build a relationship with them in the first place. So there's no way to follow up, and the relationship ends as soon as they walk out the door. And I think what's the dangerous thing with this, I feel like I brought it up in our first episode. I would need to be reminded, but it's the Acts 2 church. When right after Pentecost, and you see the church being built and community happening. And it's verses Acts 2:42 through 47. And the last words of 47 is, "And the Lord added to their numbers daily." That's how it ends. Like they were doing all of these things, committing themselves to teaching, sharing everything, making sure that no one went without, breaking bread in each other's homes, all the things. And the Lord added to their numbers daily. And I just think about in that time what it looked like to be welcoming to the newcomer. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The person who is brave enough to show up on a Sunday morning, to show up whenever the gathering is, right? And to be like, I've never been here before, but I'm looking for something, and I want to try it out. And if the Lord is adding to those numbers daily, that means that those who were coming were staying. You know what I'm saying? And so how did that Acts 2 church engage the people who showed up for the first time?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How were they engaged? How were they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how were they treated?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that would not be an easy environment to walk into.
No.
They're sharing everything and breaking bread. I mean, they're close.
Yes.
That's a tight-knit group.
Yes.
And then you're walking in like,
yes.
Can I sit down too? That's hard.
It's terrifying.
And I think we have to remember that today too.
Yes.
It is still really hard for a lot of people to step into a house of worship.
Yes.
It still feels like to a lot of people that we all belong. We all are super tight, and they don't know how to step into that. And I think a lot of churches don't want to come on too strong or don't,
Yep, I agree.
And I don't think there's a prescriptive way
right.
to do it exactly right in every church. I don't. I think the Lord reveals that. I think you know your context, all those things.
It looks very different in Kansas City versus like New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think I would rather over welcome a little bit and make someone be like, okay, like I'm going to move at my pace.
Yeah.
Than to make them feel like they're on the outside.
100%.
And
I think that the thing that I want to not miss is the layers of difficulty.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard enough. There's a restaurant here. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's in Kansas City. It's called Chicken and Pickle. And it's basically, it's a whole restaurant. It has pretty good food. And then they have pickleball courts, and you can play pickleball. And a lot of times you end up playing pickleball with people that you don't know, because there's just courts as far as the eye can see. And if you don't know what pickleball is, it's tennis for people who can't play tennis.
We tear it up.
We do. We do.
Tear up some pickleball.
We know how to play pickleball over here. But it's hard enough for me, a grown woman in my 30s, married with children, to walk up to random strangers and ask them to play pickleball.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm the kind of person, my sister makes fun of me because every time I'm on the phone with her, somebody always randomly talks to me because she was like, you have a face that just people want to talk to. And I'm like, I think I look mean. She's like, you really don't. Your face actually says, please have a conversation, because it literally happens to me everywhere. And I'm that kind of person, and it's nerve-wracking for me to do that.
Yeah.
When you add somebody coming to church for the first time, not only is it like Chicken and Pickle is an open place where people are expecting you to maybe you're expecting to kind of have an interaction with a stranger. Like at some level, even if you came with your group, you're probably going to end up talking to somebody that you don't know and maybe hitting them in the face with a ball. Like, whereas at church, you're coming to like a pretty insular group of people.
An established group
of people.
With the same beliefs that you may or may not have yet.
And not only are the same beliefs, they're not beliefs about landscaping.
Right.
They're beliefs about the thing that matters more than anything on this planet.
Yeah.
Okay? Like they are the most sacred beliefs.
Yeah.
And because they are the most sacred beliefs, there's also a layer of like that person who is coming for the first time, their experience with their beliefs in the past.
Yeah.
What have they been through? What is their story? Why have they not been to church? Why is this their first Sunday here? What happened elsewhere? I have a friend, I did not plan on telling this story. I have a friend who is now a good friend, but she's been like a church acquaintance. My context, the church my husband and I serve at now is not denominational, but we're raised and grew up AG, Assemblies of God. And so we would go to camp and things like that. And there would be a kind of like a sister church. We weren't connected like sister churches, but we always like went to camp at the same time. You know what I mean? And an acquaintance from that church. And I knew like we were cool, hung out over the years at these different events, like whatever, but we're never close. And years down the road, seasons had changed. I had known her as the person who went to that church. And one day she walked into ours. And I was I'm grateful that the Lord used it. Because again, we weren't friends. We were acquaintances. Okay. Yeah. We had never had like a serious conversation about faith, about the Lord, about ministry, anything. And I just went up to her. I was like, what are you doing here? Because there's got to be a story. And that was just, we were cool enough that it was okay. You know what I'm saying? But what happened that you're no longer at that house of worship and you decided to come here? What happened? Because something had to have happened. Right? And she has her own story and the Lord redeemed, whatever. Like the Lord had led her out and it was all good. But like every person who's coming for the first time has a story as to why they've never been, why they wouldn't in the past and are willing to try now. Why, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like how much more difficult, not only on just like the social layer, but all of those very heavy layers in between, it's all the more difficult and therefore so much more of a brave thing to do for a first-time guest to come into a house of worship, especially bonus points if they're willing to walk up to someone and ask a question. How do I get involved here?
Right.
Where do I go? What, all the questions, right?
Right.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think my conviction, kind of my burden is like, I want to honor that bravery.
Yeah.
I want to honor that bravery. It took a lot. I haven't had to walk into a new church for the first time, wet behind the ears, in ages.
Yeah.
I haven't had to do that. I haven't had to do that. You know what I mean? That's a hard thing to do. And I want to honor that bravery and honor what the Lord has done in bringing you here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I want to meet you there.
Yeah.
And I just think that's the conviction we can't miss.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because again, it's very easy to like just think, and sometimes it's not even so that we don't realize that we're not being hospitable, but sometimes we think that our church's name, especially for more larger established churches, which is my context, like it's easy to think that the name will take care of it. Does that make sense? Like the church's reputation, let it speak for itself. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, the institution is not the house, it's its people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so we have a charge to make sure that we are taking care so that somebody can call it home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
one thing that's been so clarifying just in how I'm serving at my own church and then in the work that I do in Academy with a lot of church leaders is the idea that hospitality, when we look at biblical hospitality, it prompts connection between people and then between a person and God.
Yeah.
And so that can also help alleviate some of the noise around like, we should be doing all the things.
Yeah.
Because some of it is like cute or trendy or fun, but like if it's not helping people get connected to each other or like first time guest gifts, you know what I mean? Like,
oh my gosh.
There is context where it's just not necessary.
No.
Because if it's not helping people connect with each other or it's not helping them connect with the Lord throughout the week, it doesn't matter.
We're good. Yeah, it's fine.
So I think that's been a super helpful just tagline for us to remember, like hospitality prompts connection. And so on a Sunday morning are the efforts that your greeters and your hospitality team and your ushers and all these people, is that like the heart posture that they have? Is they want to create spaces where they can connect with people or they can help those people connect with the Lord.
Yeah.
And that does get defined. I mean, that like can get translated in a lot of different ways.
Very much so.
But I do think it's clarifying. And I think like Mary Ann, someone that we work with inside of Academy,
shout out.
She's amazing. She always says, I have the opportunity on a Sunday morning to look in the eyes someone that Jesus died for.
Okay.
And like to just remember, like these are his sons and daughters.
Yes.
The people in their lives have been praying will show up again.
Yes.
Like that's somebody's one. You know what I mean? So I think that's been really helpful for us to think about, because in Gather, I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed, to get distracted, to feel like, well, they're mad at me again because we opened the doors too early or whatever. I mean, I know that role gets a lot.
Yes.
But I think if you can find some things in your context that you're like, you know what, this works to help people connect with the Lord, and it works to help connect people to people. And so this is what we're doing.
Yep. I think that's beautiful. So to talk about one, what this looks like when it's healthy, but also just what Gather looks like. So the three things that everybody kind of has or needs to do. So a hospitality team. To some extent, you have somebody who it is either it's one person or a whole team of people's job to give them clarity on where they need to be and where they need to go. The next thing is how are you engaging that person in your gathering?
Yeah.
How are you acknowledging them? We talk a lot about welcome talks. And by welcome talk, like what we mean is like the hosting script, whatever language you use, basically, how are you engaging people in your service that are there for the first time, in your service. And then your connect cards. Because again, that way to capture information, if you're not doing that, there's no way to build that relationship except but a hope and a prayer that they show up next Sunday.
Right.
And so what does this look like when it's healthy? It's that every touch point is mapped from the parking lot to the seat, and each is kind of given an owner. If you have the capacity for that, there might be a welcome center, and hospitality is everyone's job.
Yep.
It's everybody's job. You have a welcome talk that works. People know who's on stage. They're invited. They are invited to take their next step, whatever that is, one clear next step that they're given, and they have clarity on where they need to go, and that there are connect cards. We will say, you might hear us talk about both digital and paper options, because really having both is best. Because if you have one or the other, just on a practical tip, if you have one or the other, I'm never touching a paper card. I'm not. I have a 5-month-old and an almost 3-year-old. If I touch a piece of paper with a pen, it's getting scribbled on. That's what's happening. Because truly, if it's my first Sunday, I'm probably not putting my kids in the childcare, because at least for me, I don't know y'all yet. I don't know y'all yet. I'm keeping my babies with me. And so like having both engages as many people as possible. So that everybody has a chance to follow up. And after that, in our kind of episodes coming up, we'll talk more about the next stages, which is nurture and initiate. But I really just want to talk about, okay, we talked about all this. What can I do? So if you're hearing all of these conversations and you have knots in your stomach, you kind of feel anxious because you feel like this might be you. You might be missing it at either invite or gather. I would encourage you to do just a couple of things. First is to pray. Pray for perspective. Pray for conviction. Pray for inspiration. And pray for those people who are coming to your church and might be considering. And I'm sure that you're already doing that, but I'll always encourage you to talk to the Lord on behalf of the things that he's called you to do. The next is to just walk through your space. Walk through your space, both digital and physical.
Yeah.
Walk through your spaces and have guests in mind. Have people who have never been to your church before. Walk through it. See. And that's it. That's the one step. You don't even have to act yet.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do anything yet. But just walk through it and see it from that perspective. Have somebody join in with you if you can. And say that the conversations that we had today weren't necessarily the ones that were twisting you up. But you know that something's off. You're not sure what it is. It's not necessarily what we talked about, but there is some sort of gap somewhere that I would really invite you to go into the show notes and take the Ignite scorecard. It's a really helpful tool that we created. It'll take you 5 minutes. It's 18 questions to help you figure out if it's not these stages, then what stages are things breaking down at your church? Because that's what we're here to do, to give you clarity at every stage of the discipleship journey at your church, to have honest conversations where we can talk about the hard things, to try to get a handle on some of this, to serve our people better. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Ignite Your Church podcast. My name is Nina. This is my co-host, Allie, and we'll see you next time.